How the economy machine works in 30 minutes. The economy works like a simple machine, but many people don't understand it, or they don't agree on how it works. And this has led to a lot of needless economic suffering. I feel a deep sense of responsibility to share my simple but practical economic template. Though it's unconventional, it's a self-committed perspective to sidestep global financial crisis, and it's worked well for me for over 30 years. Let's begin. Though the economy seems complex, it works in a simple mechanical way. It's made up of a few simple parts and a lot of simple transactions that are repeated over and over again a zillion times. These transactions and overall are driven by human nature, and it creates three main forces that drive the economy. Number one, productivity growth. Number two, the short-term debt cycle. And number three, the long-term debt cycle. Well, look at these three forces and how linking them on top of each other creates a good template for tracking economy movements and figuring out what's happening now. Let's start with the simplest part of the economy, transactions. An economy is simply the sum of the transactions that make it up, and a transaction is a very simple thing. You make transactions all the time. Every time you buy something, you create a transaction. Each transaction consists of a buyer exchanging money or credit. Consists of a buyer with the style for goods, services, or financial assets. Credit is spent just like money. So adding together the money spent and the amount of credit spent, you could know the total spending. The total amount spending drives the economy. If you divide the amount spent by the quantity sold, you get the price, and that's it. That's a transaction. It's the building block of the economy machine. All cycles, all forces in the economy are driven by transactions. So if we can understand transactions, we can understand the whole economy. A market consists of all the buyers. Or market, 구매자와 let's see. For example, there is a wheat market, a car market, a stock market, or markets for millions of things. An economy consists of order of transactions. In all of its markets. If you add up the total spending and the total quantity sold in all of the markets, you have everything you need to know on the markets. You have everything you need to know to understand the economy. Markets, you have everything. You have everything. 모든 것, everything. 모든 것을 you have everything you need to 필요한 것을 you need to know to 알게 되고 이해하기 위해서 to understand economy 경제를 이해하기 위해서는 필요로 알아야 되고 모든 것을 알게 된다. 이해하기 위해 필요한 모든 것을 알게 된다. 경제를 이해하려면 이해하기 위해 to 뭐하기 위해 to 뭐하기 위해 to It's just that simple. People, businesses, banks, and governments all engage in transactions for the way described, the way I just described, the way I just described. Economy. It's just that simple. People, businesses, banks, and governments all engage in transactions the way I just described. All engage in transactions the way I just described. Engage or engage. Transactions. Just describe. Engage. Or engage. Or engage. 모두 참여. Describe. Exchanging money for credit and credit for goods, services, and financial assets. The biggest buyer and seller is the government, which consists of two important parts. A central government that collects taxes and spends money. Sellers controls the amount of money and credit. Controls money, credit, and the economy. In the economy, it does this by influencing interest rate, 금리. It does this, do this. 이것은 by influencing. U-E-N influences and printing your money. Interest rate, 금리. Interest rate, 금리. 그리고 printing your money, 새로운 돈을 찍어내. It does this by influencing. By influencing. 일 것 같은데 사전을 찾아볼까? 돈을 번역기로 돌려볼까? Influence 영향을 주다. 그것은 금리와 이자와 금리와 화폐를 찍어넣는 것으로 방식으로 말합니다. By influencing, 영향을 주다. 영향을 줌으로써 접독하면 그런데 해석을 방식으로 말입니다. 이렇게 했어. 너 자신을 믿어. For these reasons, as well see. 너 센스를 너무 믿지 말고. 잘 해보자. Their inflow of credit. 신용의 흐름. I want you to pay attention to credit. Attention. For these reasons, as well see, the central bank is an important player of the credit. Flow of the credit. I want you to pay attention. 관심을 집중해야 된다. Attention to credit. Attend는 무엇에 참여하다. Attend to는 관심을 가져야 된다. 집중하다. Attention. Same. Credit is the most important part of the economy and probably economy, 경제, understood, 이해가 부족하다. And probably least understood, 부족하다. 여기 가장 이해가 부족한 부분이다. 그렇다면 probably least 먼저 list 최소 list Who has the least money? 누가 돈을 적게 가졌어? It's the least I can do. 그건 적게 할 수 있어? 조금 할 수 있어? 그게 내가 할 수 있는 최소한의 일이야. It's the least I can do. It's the least I can do. Least. It's the least I can do. 그러면 probably. 아마 적은 이해로 economy and probably the least understood. 가장 이해가 부족한 부분이다. probably 아마 she will probably never seem okay. Okay. It's the most important part of the because it's the biggest and most volatile part. Just like a buyers and sellers go to the market to make transactions, so do lenders and borrowers. 대출 기관과 대출자들, lenders and borrowers. 대출 기관과 대출 lenders. Important part of the economy and probably the least understood. It's the most important part because the biggest and most volatile part. It's the most important part because in the biggest and most volatile part. biggest 가장 크고 is the because most 크고 반동성. 11번 Fall apart. Fall apart. Just like buyers and sellers, 구매자와 판매자 go to the market to make transactions. So the lenders and borrowers, 대출 기관과 대출자. lenders. 문제는 lenders. 대출 기관. 대출자. 빌려준 사람들, 빌려주는 기관. Lenders and borrowers. Lenders usually want to make their money, more money. Lenders 보통 usually and borrow user money, buy something and they can't afford. They can afford something they can't afford. Like house, 자동차 같은 것들과 집. afford. 제공하다, 공급하다. Car, or they want to invest in something like starting up businesses. Credit can help both the lenders and borrowers get what they want. Borrowers promise to repay the amount they borrow called principal. Businesses, credit can help both the lenders and borrowers get what they want. Borrowers promise to repay the amount they borrow called principal. 원금. plus additional called additional amount called interest rate. 추가적인 이자를 additional. 추가의 형용사 additional amount called interest. When interest rates are high, there is less borrowing because it's expensive. When interest rates are low, borrowing increases because it's cheaper. When borrowers promise to repay and lenders believe them, credit is created. Credit out of thin air. That seems simple now, but credit is tricky because it has different names. As soon as credit is created, it immediately turns into debt. immediately. And the debt is both an asset to the lender and a liability to the borrower. In the future, when the borrower repays the loan plus the interest, the asset and liability disappear, and the transaction is zero. So why is credit so important? Because when a borrower receives credit, be able to credit 할 수 있다. 시간 금전적으로 여유가 있다. 동사 받다, 받아들이다. reception, 명사, 졌었죠. And remember, spending drives the economy. This is because one person's spending is another person's income. Think about it. Every dollar you spend, someone else earns. And every dollar you earn, someone else has spent. So when you spend more, someone else earns more. When someone's income rises, it makes lenders more willing to lend him money because now he's more worthy of credit. A credit-worthy borrower has two things: ability to repay 상환 능력과 collateral 담보물. Having a lot of income in relation. Having a lot of 부채와 비교의 correlation. To his debt gives him the ability to repay. As soon as credit is created, it immediately turns into debt. Debt is both an asset to the lender and a liability to the borrower. In the future, when the borrower repays the loan plus interest, the asset and the liability disappear and the transaction is zero. So why is credit so important? Because when a borrower receives credit, 할 수 있다. Be able to increase his spending. 그는 spending 지출을 늘릴 수 있기 때문이다. Borrow, receive credit. borrow. 대출자들은 신용을 받아서 신용을 활용해. borrow, receives. 받아들이다. 활용. Because when a borrower receives credit, he is able to increase his spending. Borrow. In the future, when the borrower repays the loan, plus interest. The asset and liability disappear and the transaction is zero. So why is credit so important? Because when a borrower, 왜냐면 대출자들은 receives credit, he is able increase spending. Because when a borrower receives credit, he is able to increase his spending. And remember, spending drives the economy. This is because one person's spending is another person's income. Think about it. Every dollar you spend, someone else earns, and every dollar you earn, someone else spends. So when you spend more, someone else earns more. When someone's income rises, it makes lenders more willing to lend money because now it's more worthy of credit. A credit-worthy borrower has two things: ability to repay and collateral. Having a lot of income in relation to his debt gives him the ability to repay. In the event that he can't repay, it makes lenders more willing to lend him money because now it's more worthy of credit. A credit-worthy borrower has two things: the ability, 능력과 상환 능력, and collateral. Having a lot of income in relation, having a lot 많으면, 가지고 있으면, 많은 소득이, a lot of income, 많은 소득을 가지고 있으면, in relation to his debt, 그는 gives him the ability to repay. ability to repay, 상환 능력, repay, 상환 능력을 가진다, relation, 소득, to his debt, 부채와 relation. 명사, 관계, 사람, 두 사람, 집단 사이의 관계. 해빙으로라도 뭐 소득이 많으면 in relation to 관계가 있지. this that 그가 부채를 갖고 있는 것과 그는 상환 능력을 주고 그의 부채가 having a lot of income, 많은 소득을 갖고 있고 in relation to his debt, 그의 부채와 비교해서 그가 소득이 많으면 그는 상환 능력을 갖는다. 관계, 비교, relation to. 오늘은 이코노미 경제 How the economy machine works in 30 minutes 쉐도잉 플러스 모르는 단어 체크 5분 50초 하니까 5분을 모르는 단어를 체크하니까 30분이 걸렸음.